Forge World eBay hacks. Yo dog, Katie Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days. Here in the Beats Lab in Hollywood, California, we're doing it again. We're bringing back the eBay Hacks series, this time with Forge World and Tyranids. We get to combine two of our favorite series into one, the ongoing autumn-themed Tyranid project with them cheat codes. So we got a Barbed Hierodule off of eBay. Pro painted. Looks amazing. We're going to take it to the tabletop today and beyond. We have multiple videos on the autumn themed Tyranids already. Definitely check those units out. They go into a lot of detail. Today we're going to be focusing on a couple of crazy ass tricks centered around this eBay hack. So they're going to be compendium to each other. So definitely check these videos out. And I got a few other eBay hacks. You might want to check those out too. I'm going to take this moment to shout out a couple people I couldn't do this without. Yo, here's some clutch people over on Patreon. Tyler, Joshua, my man Anthony, Joe, Jason, Cabin, Kiowa, Rittner, Alex, Christopher, Scott, and Cleoco. Big shout out, guys. I couldn't do it without you. You guys came in clutch this week over on Patreon, my personal crowdfunding page. One last thing, guys, it's finally happening. The Long War Doubles Primer. It's going to be a 2-day event, 5-round doubles bringing hobby back format event. Our partners at Adepticon have allowed us to do it there 2 years in a row, and I imagine we're going to go 3 in 2018. But our partners here in Southern California, SoCal Games and Comics, we're making it happen, guys. It's going to be happening in January. We got more info coming here real soon. Stay tuned to the Long War Podcast and SpikeyBids.com. Let's do this thing, guys. Barbed Hierodule eBay hack. Right, chomp. Take a look at this guy. Painted. Barely 3-color standard, but that's what I expected. It's time to give him a makeover, guys. We're going to go to our classic scheme here. We're going to be digging deep. Army Painter. We're going to start off with Demonic Yellow. This is just a basic primer that they sell. Love it. Couple of quick passes outside, let it dry. And then I grabbed Chaos Red or Chaotic Red. And then we sprayed the carapace. Then we grabbed the yellow and repaired what we did. This is the ghetto eBay hack video right here. We're going to grab some Minotaur paints. This is called Pumpkin Orange. You guys know how I feel about Minotaur. Not a huge fan. But I started this project years ago using these colors when I bought the entire set, and I can't stop. I got to keep the color match going. But ultimately, this pumpkin orange does a pretty solid job over this demonic yellow. And you see what we're doing here? We're trying to block the colors in the most efficient way possible. It's actually why I chose these autumn Tyranids to have this particular color scheme, having the exoskeleton be yellow and the carapace be red. It lets us do a lot of interesting things with the spray paint and with the airbrush. So all we're doing is adding the mid-tone in. Anywhere we think this exoskeleton should be shaded for interest's sake, for shadows, we don't care. We're just trying to create exciting transitions. All right, Hazard Orange. You see, I've had this so long you can't even see the label. Minotaur. Now we're going to establish the shadow. This is going to be up closer to the tops of the muscles coming out of the red carapace. That's part of my secret for this color scheme. I'm making it secretly easy. We're letting that near red, very deep orange be on the carapace. And you'll notice when we spray painted this model yellow, then the carapace red, then back to yellow, we got a little yellow on the red carapace. No big deal. By the time we're done with this shadow here, just cutting it in with the airbrush, we're gonna basically wipe out most of that yellow that got on the red carapace with a near red color, which is gonna make paintbrushing and spot checking and wiping out that overspray really easy. Like I said, sometimes these projects, they don't look right until you're finished. So this is a very carefully mapped out Tyranid project. Been working on it for years, hundreds of models. Sanguine Base from P3. This is the color match that I've already selected. I already know how to do this. I've done this a couple times already on this project. We're gonna water it down, take a big old brush, and we're gonna just basically go 100% over all the chaotic red from Army Painter. they're close enough that they are almost the same color, and that this thin coat of chaotic red will stick to that primer and wipe out any of that overspray. So now this is the first time we're going to take our time. We're going to start cutting in details. We're going to be alternating between a bigger paintbrush and a smaller paintbrush. First, rapid fire, bang it down with the big brush. Once you get it all locked in, then you can think about cutting into smaller areas. But you see, this is a very thin coat and it's sticking to that near perfect color match of that chaotic red. Simple. I've done a couple of big Tyranid projects, and when I do them as a commission, I always work with my client on a color scheme that's alternate, that's kind of interesting, but ultimately gives me a way to attack it in an efficient manner when you're doing a huge Tyranid commission. They're totally different than Space Marines. And now he's already a different model. Look at that. Literally just a few minutes, couple bursts with the airbrush, and then just a rapid fire paintbrush. You already have a more interesting and more precise looking model than we had. Here we are using our smaller brush. Gonna cut in some of these details on the carapace. It's very important with Tyranids to have a very defined border between the carapace and the exoskeleton. We flirt with that on this color scheme. With the autumn theme having oranges, yellows, and reds, we have an orange really close to the red. It complements, but there's enough contrast that it's clearly a defined exoskeleton with a carapace over it. Here we go, getting all that red. Now with the smaller Tyranids, like the Carnifexes and the Exocrines, Molochs, and etc., you can leave a lot of those panels off and do some pre-assembly, some sub-assembly with the carapace, and do some really interesting color schemes. I have plenty of those in my gallery that I've worked on before, multiple tutorials. But on these big Forge World models, you don't have that opportunity. This very textured carapace is all built in. So we'll just rapid fire, a couple of thin coats over some of these other sections that are pure demonic yellow. These do take a few coats to get them locked in, but there's no way to avoid it. You got to do the brushwork on a project like this. Just a simple techniques to hack in this eBay model, getting it ready for the tabletop at that big tournament this weekend. So here we go. Last little bit here, I think. All these little carapaces, shin guards, elbow guards, etc. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to reach back into our airbrush. We're going to grab that hazard orange, and we're going to spray some more of that shadow on those biceps, those triceps, and those shoulders, because there might be some speckling from the red because we were moving so fast, and this is just going to wipe out any red I don't like, smooth out the transition, reestablish it, give us a little bit more contrast, show off that orange right up against that red, that they're two different colors, and we have that nice, elemental fall theme that we've been going for. We're going to have autumn leaves on the base and everything. Okay, so we're going to just spray a little bit of this hazard orange on the tips of the guns, just kind of create a cool little pre-shade, create some fun effects. I got a lot of things in mind for this model. We're going to do some centerpiece action on this model because obviously we're doing that basic. Let's get it to the tabletop. Let's get those colors. Let's get the three colors established in clean lines. But also I want to do some focal points. So we got that gory red. This is game color. This is Vallejo. And we're going to mix that in and just start building up the red carapace. This is real easy, real subtle. We're going to have multiple reds. We're going to build up a very nice and clean transition. Here we go. And it's really easy. Look, we're not even worried about overspray because these reds are close enough to that orange we laid down that if a little bit of overspray gets in that orange, you won't even see it, especially since we're working so thin. That's what I'm talking about. I planned this entire Tyranid project out to work with the airbrush. Spray some in on the face, get that carapace looking its best. Nice transitions. This is just step one, the first transition. We're going to have to combo off of this color, keep going. Look, even on the leg, I'm not too worried. I can get in pretty tight, add this fun color to it, totally kick it up a notch. On that thigh armor, thigh carapace. I don't know. Not a carapace scientist. All right, just keep it going. Same thing. You see what I was talking about with the tips of these guns? I'm bringing that highlight from the front back. Now here's the kicker. We're going to use Mephiston Red and Evil Sun Scarlet. You can also use like Khador Red highlight from P3. They're almost the same. So we're going to add some of these into the carapace, taking it to that next level, popping these reds out, making them look their absolute best. Totally different story here, with the light shining, looking its best, slinging some of that Mephiston red into these big panels, kicking it up a notch. Wait till we get to add some scarlet red. It gets so much better. Here we go. Pow, pow. Just on the tips. Don't undo all the reds. We have a very deep red here, going all the way up from chaotic red with sanguine base, gory red, Mephiston red, scarlet red. I mean, we got all the reds. It's so multi-dimensional. It's looking real clean. This model is going to impress a lot of people on the tabletop with very little effort at the end of the day. Absolutely love this red. Okay, so he's looking good. Doing a quick spot check. We're doing a little visual inspection to make sure we didn't fuck something up, get some speckles on something that we're not happy with. That's basically highly recommended. I'm even using the dryer in between scenes to rapidly dry some of these big flat panels. Dryer on hot in the other room. Be careful though when you're doing that trick of resin. Resin can get wobbly on you. Okay, flash gets yellow, back to pumpkin orange from Minotaur. We're gonna whip these together on our airbrush, and now we're gonna just start defining some of the muscles very carefully. I turn the light down real low so we can get tight in on that yellow without blowing out. So you can see that we're wiping out some of that aggressive, darker orange with some yellow. Some flash gets yellow right here, and that way it's not blurring into the carapace as much, but instead we have a full blown muscular transition, and we're getting right up next to that red without messing it up. This little detail is going to help enhance the overall contrast of the model. Verdigris dark green, secret weapon miniatures. Love this green. We're just going to mix them up, grab a brush, and we're going to start trimming in, cutting in some of the things that I want to be green, because our autumn themed NIDs, they have bright green elements and then all the leaves of the forest. So that's always been their vision. We have autumn leaves on a junk world base. Like they're blending in with their surroundings has always been the narrative. Totally love these. Totally love these colors. Rapid fire, pull out a smaller brush. Let's get the hooves, all the horns, all the slits in the skin and the exoskeleton. That's all green. That's how we do it. So now what we're going to do here, guys, remember I talked a few minutes ago about making a focal point on this model. We're basically going to 3-color minimum the yellows and the reds. But the green is going to be our 3-color, and we're going to create a piece of eye candy. So when we add this model to the army at the event this weekend, it looks perfect. People aren't even going to question the fact that we didn't do a whole lot of details on the red. They're not going to question the fact that we didn't do a whole lot of details on the yellow. Now, I will go back and do some extra blending, some extra wash tricks, but this is all about hacking that model from eBay and getting it ready today. I mean, this is all the product of one afternoon of work. Just rapid fire. So now we got all the greens built into the gun. We've chosen to make the gun our focal point. Put a little verdigris green in the airbrush, and we're going to start blurring out some of these sections to create an object source light, or also known as an OSL effect. Necrotite green is my go-to green. It's the #1 green. It's how I say it's the best green in the world. We're going to now start honing in these OSLs. We're going to work from dark to light on the inside of these slits, anywhere we think that is glowing with Tyranid warp energy, whatever powers this thing, barbed Hierodule style, I don't know. That's just how we're going to work. We're not going to be too afraid here, working real thin, staying real tight, using 99% air, just a little bit of paint with the trigger work, taking our time, being subtle, and building it up. It's not hard at all. Look at that. It's all going to work. It's all going to look great. I'm going to sneak it into here where his like hands are fused to the gun and it might be glowing out of there. I don't know what that section would be called. I think he's like literally morphed into a gun. Like he literally can't let go of that gun. It's pretty impressive. He's got like a spine coming back with these little nubs on it that we want to be glowing. Looking pretty good right there. See, we're just working it up. We just did all of that and we're doing a little bit more. Introduce a little flash gets yellow to the mix to help brighten it up. That's the trick. We have flash gets, necrotite green. If you guys don't know my system, now you do. All right, before we get all crazy on extra highlighting, we're going to use the hobo shield right here. And we're going to highlight this tube that's going from his tricep to his elbow, make it look like it's glowing with energy as well. And we're also going to spray some of this necrotite green all up on this scything talon to give it a nice glowing effect as well. Make it look its best. See, we just create transitions. That's what we do here. Not too worried about light sources, except on those OSLs. We're trying to make it look like they're glowing. But everywhere else, I'm just like, yo, it's shiny. It's eye candy. I like it. Feeling good. We're just gonna do a couple blasts on these little slits in his skin to reveal some maybe glowing innards, like he's full of energy, which is what powers his weapon. Now here it is, what I talked about a second ago. Foreshadowed. Flash gets yellow. This is how you make those greens pop. Squeeze a little bit into your airbrush, add a little bit of flow improver, but not too much, because you want, when you're going this tight, you don't want it to be that thin. You got to get it to that perfect airbrush ratio where it's not speckling, but it's also not watery. See, we're trying to build it up very tight in these little slits. And if it's too thin down, it would never work. Here we go. Look at that, just a couple of dots. Spray, spray, look at its best. We're going to just enhance everything that we want to be glowing here right now. Same deal on all these little slits up top here even. Look how much cool stuff this guy has. Just amazing. Great Forge World model, so much textures. Like when we come back to this guy and take him to the next level, we're going to be using all sorts of wash techniques. Speaking of techniques, Hobo Shield re-engaged. Add a little of that flash gets yellow to that tube. Make it look like it's glowing. Pow. That easy. Look at all this. All right. We're going to grab our paintbrush, go back to verdigris green, water down, and just wipe out some of the aggressive yellow that got outside of the hole, because that's not where the yellow is going to be. The yellow is going to be inside, though, inside that little pocket. So anywhere we don't like it, we're just going to use a little bit of thinned out verdigris and wipe it out. Okay, while that's all drying, we're going to grab that original sanguinary base, and we're going to just cut in this little section of his arm cannon device. He's got like an elbow pad and some other little tubes. So we want to make these fleshier. So we're going to use pink ore. This is a GW color. It's a pretty solid color. And now we're going to just start wet blending it right into the sanguine base. Really aggressive, broad strokes. So we're not too concerned here with tiny little rivets details. We're going to use a wash, and then we're going to come back and highlight it at some point. So just build it up. Introduce more and more of the pink and less of the red. Rapid fire. Be aggressive. Be unconcerned. Boom. Looking solid. Here we go. Last pass. Pink. Now it's very fleshy. So I don't know what that is, but like when I was looking at the model, I felt like there was definitely a difference between that section of his arm and the rest. So I wanted to draw attention to it. Like I said, these guns are going to be the eye candy of the model. We're going to spend the most time on those to limp on with our 3-color paint job, our tabletop paint job here. Okay, real quick, we're going to just dot these little bumps with our flash kits and our Necrotite green from the airbrush pot that we had sitting on the side before we get into the next stage here. Anywhere we think needs to be a little brighter, we're just going to brush on some highlight. That's a big thing you need to do with OSL. See, we just did all those little under rims right there. That really goes a long way when you're trying to create this effect. We're going to brush it over the under highlight of these slits. Give us a nice transition here. A nice transition to play off of a hard edge. Looks real good. Okay, Way Watcher green. Yo, I've been waiting for this. I'm super excited. This is one of the best products GW makes. We're going to just pile this Way Watcher green very carefully into these slits. We're going to be aggressive with it. We're going to be using a light touch, but we want to pile it in there. We want to create a nice little border, and we want it to get inside of all those little slits, help create definition while helping the green stay bright. That's what I love about Way Watcher green. It's an amazing product that GW makes. They market it as a glaze. I use it. I'm using it very aggressively here, but still in a controlled manner. I'm just spilling it over, just washing it on these sections. But it's so bright and so subtle. I will always use it when I'm trying to create these OSLs. Absolutely shading these sections. Look at that, creating some nice transitions. Boom. And this is gonna go in every little slit, guys. Pow, pow. All of it. It's gonna create definition, little borders, create little cell shaded regions. It's gonna make all the little lines inside of the ligaments look their best. It's gonna help blend anything that's looking kind of weird. It's just a go-to for this. Look at that. Look how good that looks. Pow. All day, every day. Weight Watcher green, secret tech to painting Tyranid green stuff. Absolutely love it. Look at that. And we didn't even strip this model. We just primed right over this other guy's paint job. And look at the results we got. Look at that. So there's our eye candy. Absolutely love it. Our focal point is being preserved. Nobody's going to question this paint job when we take it to our event once we get, I mean, we got to do a few more things. But hey, real quick, mild brown, red tone. These are Army Painter washes. We're going to mix them together and we're going to wash this little fleshy section connecting his elbow, arm, pump to his gun. Probably barbed strangler. I don't know. It's got a barbed hierodule, so maybe that's the weapon he's shooting. It's hard to tell with these bioweapons. But there we go. Absolutely love this guy. Arm candy is looking amazing. We're going to work on the face and the teeth, get the gums done, get this guy ready for the table. Thank you guys.